us know.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the January 22nd Board of Trustees meeting to order and ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of
I'm
Allegiance.
going to do this very gingerly.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Kashaba,
Present.
Trustee Saturn, Trustee Narodowski,
Present.
Trustee Ingraffia,
Present.
Supervisor Sweeney.
Present. Trustee Saturn requested to participate telephonically. Trustee Saturn, if you could just give a quick explanation for why you could not be here and needed to participate by phone.
Sure. I'm still under home health care after recent surgery.
Perfect, okay. Can I have a motion to allow Trustee Saturn to participate by telephone?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Ingraffia,
Second it.
second by Trustee Narodowski. Roll call, please.
Trustee Kashaba,
Aye.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
Trustee Ingraffia,
Aye.
Supervisor Sweeney.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Now, for all intents and purposes, you're a part of the meeting, Trustee Saturn. Okay, any public comment? Okay. All right. Okay, you've had a chance to review the minutes from November 27th, December 6th, December 18th, and January 6th. Any questions or comments about the minutes? All right, can I have a motion to approve all of these minutes together?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Saturn,
Second it.
seconded by Trustee Narodowski. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, you've had a chance to review the bills. Any questions about the payroll or bills?
No.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve payment of the payroll and bills as presented?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Trustee Kashaba, seconded by Trustee Ingraffia.
Whoa.
Narodowski.
What's that?
Narodowski.
Oh, I'm
Made the
sorry.
motion.
Wow, that was a lot of feedback. Wow.
Let's get it right.
I apologize. Wow. Trustee Narodowski made the motion to approve the payroll and bills as presented, seconded by Trustee Ingraffia. Any further discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Kashaba,
Aye.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
Trustee Saturn,
Aye.
Trustee Ingraffia,
Aye.
Supervisor Sweeney.
Aye. They didn't yell at you.
Because I'm a nice guy.
That was a lot of feedback. Okay, presentations. Assessor is presenting her proposed budget for 2018-19. Podium, please. Thank you.
Good evening. You have in your packets my proposed budget for 2018-2019. If you'll see on the bottom line, I am not asking for any additional funds. I have certainly moved around certain things in line items because our costs have gone up in certain areas, particularly in the number of people that we are assisting through email, through constant contact, and through our robocalls. We're up to around 900 calls that go out, depending upon what the particular issue is. And of course, we've had certain issues. So since it has been in your packet, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
No, I think you're to be commended for keeping your budget level, so thank you. Any questions for Connie? Might as well stay there, Connie. You have your report.
Okay. Actually, in your packet, I did a year-end report because the tax year starts January 1st, ends December 31st. And so that year-end report, the annual report, reflects that. Certainly can also be utilized for the annual town meeting, but since all of our work is done January 1st to December 31st, I thought it would be appropriate. Our numbers have been on the increase, and the one thing that I want to mention to you is that certainly we were extremely busy during December, which is usually a slower time for us. But with the discussion of prepayment on first installment tax bills, we did a lot of work with that, and we assisted a lot of our taxpayers with paying those online. I was notified today that Treasurer Pappas is now waiving the $1 fee for paying online. It's always been a situation that if you paid online, you paid a $1 service fee. That has gone away. So that's number one. Number two, we are meeting with representatives of the Treasurer's Office on Friday. It appears that we will now be requested to do name changes in the tax records directly into the mainframe, which I think, number one, assures that it's done in a timely fashion and in an accurate fashion. So I'm very, very pleased about that. There are two other projects that the Treasurer's Office would like us to assist with, and we will certainly do our best to do that. The first of which is the upcoming property tax sale for taxes is coming up the 4th of May. There are approximately 2,500 people who are in arrears in our jurisdiction. However, the most vulnerable are approximately 50. Generally speaking, that's usually our seniors, so that we're going to try and reach out to them and let them know so that they are not penalized and have all the added burden and expense of redeeming their property. So that's number one. The second project that they're looking for us to assist with is in just faulty addresses, returned tax bills. You know, tax bills are not forwarded, and so they go straight back to the Treasurer's Office. Now, if somebody does not get a tax bill and forgets that they need to pay them twice a year, that's also going to be problematic as far as being in arrears. So we'll find out more about that on Friday, but I can see from the enthusiasm, shall we say, that we're hearing from the county that they're going to be looking to us to be more hands-on in the future.
Do you think that that's a direct result of budget cuts at the county?
I think that has
They
a
need help.
lot to do with it. Also, they are going to be putting in a new computer system. The old ASA 400, that it hasn't exploded now by this time is an absolute miracle. So I think that as these programs develop and they realize that these are programs that we can handle and do things directly, I think you're going to see more and more reliance on the Township Assessor's Office.
Any other questions for Connie?
Thank you, Connie.
Thank you, Connie.
Connie? Connie, can you write down the projects on here for me? Yeah, which one the four you're helping with?
Okay, clerk's report?
Yeah, we've had a slew of FOIA requests. We have two listed here, but we had two more come in. One of them was from Jake Griff, which is the, if you remember, is the Herald investigative reporter, and he's looking at a variety of townships. He's looking at expense reports, he's looking at legal expenses, he's looking at conferences, he's looking at all these different things that, things of that nature. So we're going to be responding to him. One of the other ones does not relate to us, and the other two we have to Paul is working on, they're not significant, particularly significant in nature. On filings, on December 27th, we did submit a statement of economic interest, or we submitted a list of people who were, of those of us that were required to submit or file statements of economic interest. You should be hearing something probably in March is when you'll be getting the request to submit that. Annual meeting, just a reminder, is the second Tuesday in April. That's April 10th. And then on one of the items coming up, it will be the RFP for videotaping board meetings, and we'll address that at that point. So I'll wait till then to deal with that.
Okay. Any questions for the clerk? Okay. Highway Commissioners report. Art?
I submitted my written report. Really not too much going on with the roads right now. No snow, just no more rain. But we're starting to get things ready for the spring. About it.
Any questions for Art?
You have plenty of salt, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Okay.
Thank you, Art.
Thank you. All right, you have all the standard reports. The only other thing I would add is that I spoke to Craig Johnson last week. He wanted to just make sure all the ducks are in a row before he got back to me. Just following up on our committee of the whole meeting. It's been solidified that Elk Grove Village, the Elk Grove Park District, and the Elk Grove Township Agency Daycare have reached an agreement after our land swap for the Park District to take over 711 Chelmsford in its entirety, to purchase that property, and part of that agreement was to let the current daycare stay there through January 1st, 2020. So whether that goes longer, that's up to them, but, so that's kind of where we're at. So obviously, just how the village decides to swap the property and the Park District uses it affects us, because it, like I said at the committee of the whole meeting, it just changes our starting point for our committee of the whole conversation, so. Any questions for me? Okay. We ran into this last year with the, under correspondence, the February board meeting date change. Obviously, the final tentative to the final budget, we need to have the budget lay on the table for 30 days. So, looked at the calendar, February 20th was proposed, but it doesn't have to be the February 20th. We just need to make sure that we have 30 days. So does February 20th work for everybody?
Works for me.
Works for me.
Works for me.
Okay, then that'll be the regular monthly meeting. That'll just be moved, and it'll include the final tentative. Yep. All right. Okay, old business. You've received packets of proposals from 5 different auditing firms. So I wanted to start the discussion and take any action the board would like. Choosing a new auditor that would start, presumably start this summer, so May, June. So I'll open it up for discussion. Any thoughts about the proposals we've received?
I really like the auditors that we have. That's just my opinion.
How long have we had them?
What has it been, Erica?
It's since June of 2013, was it?
What's the name again of the current company?
Costable and Steffens.
Okay, thanks.
Dave?
So is that 5 years, right? 5, 13, 14, 15, 16, 5. So that's, yeah.
Did they submit a proposal?
They did not.
They did not? Okay.
They don't have, I mean, we're not required to take that. So,
I'm sorry?
we can, I mean, it doesn't mean that we can't hire them.
They didn't take the time to submit it, or what?
Well, I can't speak for them, but my guess is the presumption was that we were going to cycle through to a different auditor. That would be my guess, is why they didn't submit.
Okay.
I mean, if the board, we can ask them to, yeah, we could ask them to submit a proposal if you'd like. If there's,
Why don't we do that, ask them?
Andrew, is being the CPA, I mean, I know like at the bank, from a director, we do change our auditors
I know
every 4 or 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
I
We
know
rotate them. And just for,
I mean, I'm not wedded to them, but they really do a very good job. And, you know, if you want to put this till next month, we can put it till next month.
I mean, you don't have to hire them for a period. I mean, we could ask them for a proposal if the board would like.
I don't see
I guess
why
I
not.
wasn't ready for that contingency. We could ask them, I mean, and you don't have to, you could hire them year to year. I mean, it's not like you're married to them for, once you sign with them 3 years, you engage them every year. So if the board would like a proposal from Constable and Steffens, is that the consensus?
I would think that they should have given us a proposal. These people have already given us proposals. Now we're saying, wait a minute, let's have the auditing firm that we're using give us a proposal. That,
and if they assumed that we were cycling to another auditor, then that's maybe a good reason we do cycle to another auditor, because they,
well, normally
common practice,
speaking, every
yeah.
4 to 5 years. I know we had to do it every 4 or 5 years, but we were under the State Auditor General, and they made us do it, so. And it's a good idea to change it up every so often.
Well, I defer to whatever you would like. Or we can get the proposal and make the decision next month. How do you feel, Sue Ellen?
I have no problem with getting a proposal from them. I did think that Eder, Casella and Company looked like a very good proposal.
Yes, they're good.
They were our auditors before.
Yeah, that would be nice too, because they really know our business and everything here. And they were very professional. How did you feel about them when you had them? You liked them. Where are they? I don't see them here.
Oh, this was the first one?
Oh, that one.
Okay,
Okay.
This is the first one.
It's BC and Company,
there it is, yeah.
Eder, Casella and Company.
How long ago did we have them?
There was, we got,
Yeah, right before Constable and stuff, and so. 4 or 5 years ago. They were here, I think.
I have no idea.
yeah, it was
I'm
the
sorry?
normal- It
They
was,
were here all for probably 3 or 4 years.
This one's outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, my only thought was I'd like to get into a 3 or 4 firm rotation, but that's, that's just kind of my thought.
I think that's a good idea, to get into some type of a rotation and get other people in to look at it, as long as they've got some type of a background with township government. Getting somebody, brand new who wants to get into it can sometimes be problematic.
What would the board like to do?
Now, I personally don't see any reason why we should have to ask them for a bid. Either they decided they didn't like us, I don't think that's the case, or they decided that we're looking for somebody new and they backed off.
do you want to make a motion?
How does everyone feel about going with Eder and Casella for a few years?
I think it's okay.
It's okay with me.
I would personally like to get into, if we go with them, I would like to get into at least a 3-firm rotation. That's my only, I don't have a problem with them, I just, you know, I think it's good to get after, you know, 3, 4, 5 years to kind of cycle through and at least have 3 firms coming through, but that's just my personal preference.
No, I think that's a good idea. I don't have any problem with these individuals, but if they were here 4 years ago, it would kind of be out of cycle. And I think that it's a good idea to, as long as they know township government. Do we have any idea about some of these folks? Do they know township government? Have they audited other townships?
Yeah, we have references.
Peter Casella does, Klein Hall does, they have 7, I think. Peter Casella had several townships, if I remember correctly, at least a handful, I think at least 4 or 5. McClure, I know, McClure and Sarah and Company, I believe, they do Wheeling Township, but I don't know if they do any other townships. Yeah, Peter Casella does McHenry, Shields, Nunda, Libertyville, New Trier. I know Klein Hall does it. There's like 7 townships that they do.
The only thing with Hutchins, it was 24,000, which was about double.
No, Klein Hall,
Oh, okay.
which is, I mean, it's it's essentially the same
Must forget this.
price.
See. So you're talking McClure, EC and Company, and Klein Hall. Are those the 3?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I think, you know, if we were to get another auditing firm in here, you know, Klein Hall kind of is the standout in my mind. Just because they're a different firm, but, you know, they have a lot of experience with other townships as well. Any other thoughts?
So would
Or
you'd
action?
like to see somebody make a motion to retain one of these auditors for so many years?
Well, wait, I mean, look, no, that's just my thought. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
my
that's what
thought
I'm
would be
saying, yep.
3 or 4, you know, 3 or 4 years, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever the case is, you know, and get into at least a 3-firm rotation. That's just a personal preference. I don't have a problem with Constable and Steffens. I agree they do a good job. I never had a problem with either Casella. I think they have a good reputation. They do a good job. But if I'm looking, if I was to think about a 3rd firm that could get in the rotation, like I said, Klein Hall seems to be the standout. Comparative bid, township experience, good reputation. So, like I said, but that's just my personal preference. We could table it, get a proposal from Constable and Steffens. We could hire somebody for a year, see how they do. We could lock somebody in for 4 years. I mean, that's kind of where I just need some direction. I mean, there's a lot of different things we could do here. We're not, you're not locked into anything. Like I said, you engage the auditing firm every year, so it just depends on what the board would like to do.
Andrew, are you familiar with Klein Hall?
Who are you asking?
Andrea, you.
Oh, they have a good reputation. And they do a lot of,
I make a motion that we hire Klein Hall for the 2018-19 fiscal year for our auditor.
For the, I'm sorry, you said for the 18-19 or the 17-18 audit year?
I think you mean the aren't we good?
18-19.
Seven,
It is,
well,
right?
it'd be 7, you'd be auditing 17-18.
Oh, I thought we were gonna use the firm we have until next year. Okay, so it would be this.
You'd be auditing-
This current year that just is ending March.
That's correct.
It's
31st.
FY '18.
Okay, that would be 17-18
That's my mistake on
Okay.
the agenda.
year.
So I'm assuming that's what you meant, to hire them immediately, Sue Ellen?
Yes.
All right, so a motion's been made by trustee Saturn to hire Klein Hall CPAs to audit for fiscal year 2017-18. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by trustee Nuredowski. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Kashaba,
Aye.
trustee Saturn,
Aye.
trustee Nuredowski,
Aye.
trustee Graffia,
Aye.
Supervisor Sweeney.
Aye. Okay. Next item of business, RFP for videotaping of township board meetings. Hopefully you've had a chance to review that. And I will, there's one, the only change that I wanted to at least introduce or propose, when I was looking on the second page, the mandatory insurance coverage, I just wanted a certificate of insurance at the time the proposal's submitted, instead of 24 hours before the first contracted meeting. I just want to ensure that the contractors have insurance before we make the decision to hire, as opposed to hiring them and then waiting to the next contracted meeting to see the certificate of insurance.
With the bid.
Right, with the proposal, right. Mhm.
Just so you guys know too, the reason, we went out to 2 municipalities and then looked at a cross-section of RFPs for the townships, municipalities, sort of across the state, just by Googling those, and came up with a basic package that the 2 other municipalities we talked to kind of agreed with as a basic package. The reason we brought the RFP to the board is because the previous RFPs we brought to the board, and there are differences of opinion that I heard back from people regarding the RFP as it's written today. And also the other concern was just potentially over $20,000 in cost. So I think it was something that the board needed to look at. The one thing that I would be very strong about is the mandatory insurance coverage. I don't think we want to dilute that in any particular way. I think it's important that that stays as it is, because that's a liability issue for us. But on the other issues, you're talking expense, you're talking quality, it's a trade-off of these things. So however you want to proceed.
Okay, I'll open it up for discussion.
I want you to know that Craig Johnson called me and told me that they would be happy to do the recording at $1,000. And he also told me that once we get our own equipment and it goes to the new building, that they will do it for free.
Okay, so they'll get an RFP and they'll be able, what we're talking about right now is the RFP.
Oh, I know, but I'm relating my conversation that he called me about.
Shut him down.
We did get, that was kind of the original, when it first came out, when we first got a number, it was $1,000. I went back and I just said, hey, I just want to make sure all the costs are in there. And that's when they came back and they had to add a bunch of costs in, and it came out to $1,162. So.
All right, I'm just telling you what he told me, and this was rather recent, and he said that he just wants to help another local government. I guess they're going to start doing the new District 59. They do a good job. But I'm just bringing up that
Yeah.
that's what he told me.
Okay. And that's fair. Like I said, the nice thing about the RFP is that, puts everybody on an even playing field. If they can come, based on the specs we approve, can come in cheaper and the board wants to go that way, that's fine. Like I said, as I said from the beginning, it's one thing to put out our meetings out there in the world. It's another thing for people to access them and digest them. I think I think the reason people are watching is because it's a good product, and I know other people can produce good products, nothing wrong with that. I just want to make sure we have the minimum specs to continue to produce a good product. And like I said, if we can save some money in the process, that's great. But I just want to make sure that we continue to put out a good product and that we don't have any, we're protected against any, liability exposure, so.
Well, they're, have you ever watched their board meetings on Channel 6? They're very good. And also, they
Well,
get
the
it
vi-
live, and then you put it on
Channel 6.
YouTube and everything else.
Well, the Elk Grove Village board meetings?
There's a board meeting that they have.
No,
Let's get the
all right.
well, no,
RFP
no,
approved.
it's a fair comment. No, I mean, they,
One other thing that Dale had talked about a few months ago. Have we thought about buying the equipment now and then just moving it to the new building?
There'd be a difficulty with that, because when you build it into the facility, you're building it into that facility, and it's a different specs you'll have different specs for that than you'll have for this. You'd be
Okay.
repeating your buy,
All right.
or most of it you'd be repeating.
So we're working on the RFP.
Yes.
Well, right,
The
and that's-
RFP, we're
right.
supposed to be,
So the only change that I've heard so far is with regard to when the certificates need to be.
right. I mean, that's just my thought. I'd like to know before we hired somebody that whoever,
Well,
Never accepted
maybe you
it.
said this and maybe you went over my head. Is there a time frame?
yeah,
that would be the other thing we'd have to consider. I mean, my thought, just looking at the calendar earlier this week.
No, I'm sorry. Is there a time frame when they have to submit this to us?
That's what
That's what he's
yeah.
talking about.
So
Okay.
my thought was to just, have it due Friday, February 16th by end of business, and then that would give everybody time to review, and then come back on the 20th. Not that we had to make a decision on the 20th, but, I mean, that was just.
That'd be the same time that the RFP is due.
The 16th. I mean, that's just a proposed date. I mean, we can move it up, move it back. Like I said, my big thing is make sure we're covered on liability and make sure, we have a quality product. And like I said, I've seen a lot of things that Elk Grove's produced. I don't have a problem with the quality. I just want to make sure when we're talking what they bring off-site to what they have on-site, if they can do the same thing that they're doing on-site as they do off-site, great. I mean, that's my only concern.
But you're talking about this now that you're looking until we move.
Yeah, yes, I mean, it would,
Wait.
you can change this anytime you want.
I just don't understand the question. What do you mean?
All right, that you're looking to have someone here until we move. But after we move, it was my understanding we're
gonna
purchasing the
purchase it.
equipment.
If you so choose.
That would be a separate vote, but absolutely, we could do that, absolutely. We'd have to, we just would have to see what it would cost to get to install it versus what it would cost to contract out, or a combination of the two, what I mean? So, yeah, that would just be a second vote, absolutely. And obviously, if we're renovating a building, doing the installation at the time we're renovating, could obviously, we could benefit from that as opposed to retrofitting something, so. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options.
Time, so, yeah.
Well,
Well, then is that change okay
Good.
with everybody to have it at the
16th and
time of
certificate-
the RFP?
It's the 16th and a certificate of
Well, yeah, well-
insurance with bid.
We'll make the decision when they get all the information.
Okay?
I would like to make a motion that we accept Elk Grove Village's offer of filming for $1,000 a month at this point with Channel 6 until we go to our new building.
we've been talking about the RFP, we haven't seen, I guess, we've spent this time talking about the RFP, why not just wait to see what they come back with, get a hard number, a hard proposal?
Because every month it's costing us hundreds of dollars. Thousands of dollars.
With all due respect, numbers have been thrown around, and the mayor has said something, and then his people have said something else. you know,
Okay, then I will change it to 1,162, which is on the email we got last month from Channel 6.
well, again, are they going to provide us a minimum of 3 cameras? Is that a part of the deal?
Do we need 3 cameras? I don't think we need 3 cameras.
And do we know if these subcontractors have sufficient liability insurance? That was a question that came up as well.
Did we ask them that?
Yes, we absolutely did.
And then what did they say?
They did not provide anything. I was told that Elk Grove Village with the subcontractors has a waiver of liability. And part of the waiver of liability is that they're required to carry insurance. They didn't say how much, and then I asked them if they required the subcontractors to provide a certificate of insurance. I was told by Ray Rummel that the answer to that question was no. So all I'm saying is I just want to verify that they have a certificate of insurance, that they're carrying insurance to protect the township in case something were to happen. I don't think that is, out of bounds, making sure that the township is protected. And all we're saying is, okay, February 16th, proposals are due. If they satisfy the insurance requirement and they're cheaper,
You go with Elk Grove.
then go with them on February 20th, and then we're done. But to move forward without ensuring that, even if it's 1162, without ensuring that these subcontractors are properly insured, I think is irresponsible.
It would have to be pursuant to having the correct insurance. I totally agree with that.
Well, again, I think that we should go out with the RFP, and if they can do this, fine, let them put it in writing in a proposal.
I mean, that's the way to protect
Then we're
us.
going to have to make a motion for Lorenz to do another month at this amount, right?
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I believe the motion was until we made a change, no?
No.
That's fine.
Just for 1 month.
Okay. We can do
Okay,
that as well.
How does everybody else feel?
I'm sorry, about what, Sue Ellen? About,
Would you like to vote on this motion, or would you like to wait till next month?
on the motion to
I
have
would-
Elk Grove do it?
Right.
Correct.
I would like to see this proposal, I would like to see the RFP go out and have hard numbers, make sure we have the insurance. Then, like I said, everyone's covered by the insurance. Elk Grove Village is cheaper, they can produce the same quality product. Then we can make the change. We're just asking for slightly less than another month to just cross our Ts and dot our Is. So we can let the motion die if there's no second, and then vote on to put out to approve the RFP.
So, Ellen, I think this would, it shows that we're doing our fiduciary responsibility here, and I think it's you guys could, the board could very easily pick Elk Grove, but you're going to have the information back. You're going to be able to make it based on information and hard facts that have come back, and it's going to be 16 days, and then we're finally done with this.
Okay, well, if there's not a second, then we need to move on.
Well, I will make a motion to approve the RFP with the following changes.
Just a minute, how many
okay.
people are participating? How many companies are coming in?
This is going to be public.
All right.
So it's not a Laurel versus Elk Grove Village. We're planning
I know,
we're planning on sending this out. I figure that's why I think, George and Paul, when I looked at it, it was good to have kind of this vanilla boilerplate, so it's not overcomplicated. A lot of people can participate, and see what comes out of it. So I will make a motion to approve the RFP for videotaping township board meetings with the following changes, that a current Accord certificate of insurance must be included with the proposal, and a new certificate of insurance must be provided each year at the policy expiration, which is already written here, and that the proposals are due by end of business on Friday, February 16th. Is there a second?
I second it.
Seconded by trustee Nuredowski. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Kushaba,
I abstain.
Abstain, okay. Trustee Narodowski?
Aye.
Trustee Graffia?
Aye.
Trustee Saturn?
Aye.
Trustee, Supervisor Sweeney, I demoted you
Did you get
again.
everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, aye. Okay, so we will put that out. We will send that out to the papers as well as send it to Laurel and Elk Grove Village. And we will get it to you, and we will get any proposals to the entire board by end of business, or after end of business on February 16th. Okay. All right, next item under old business. The committee meeting.
Excuse me, do we have to vote, we have to make a motion?
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, the very good, Sue Ellen.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve Laurel for the February 20th board meeting?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Saturn, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Graffia. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Kashaba?
Aye.
Trustee Narodowski?
Aye.
Trustee Saturn?
Aye.
Trustee Ingraffia?
Let me check. Aye.
And Supervisor Sweeney.
Aye. Okay, obviously, like I had mentioned before, the agreement that the Elk Grove Village and the Elk Grove Village Park District and Daycare Center reached kind of changes our starting point as far as our daycare voucher conversation goes, because now we don't need to focus immediately on finding new facilities or vendors and daycare facilities for current families, but we still need to move forward and talk about, how this program will be rolled out. And obviously Annette from the daycare has agreed to be intimately involved with us to educate us, as she did very well at our last committee of the whole meeting. So just want to look at some days coming up here in the next week or two where we could meet. And I don't know if Saturdays work for everybody, or if we want to find a different day, but I just kind of wanted to see if, I looked at my calendar, I don't know if February 10th or maybe February 3rd would work for anybody. That's a Saturday though, but, or other days of the week.
I'll be out of town February 10th.
Okay,
10th will work for me.
okay.
I've got clients scheduled all that day.
Well, I mean, I just threw that out. I didn't know if Saturday was a better day than trying to do it during the week, and we could do it during.
Do we have
look
an
for-
alternate?
Whatever, like I said, I'm tied up in class Tuesday, Wednesday. Other than that, I can make myself available. Not that, but we kind of have to work around each other's schedule, so if I can't make it, I mean, it's,
What time were you thinking?
we could start as early as 6 o'clock.
In the evening?
What's that?
In the morning?
Are we going back to during the week, or are we talking a Saturday?
No, Saturday.
Oh,
What time were you thinking?
Like 9:30?
I guess if we did it at 9:30, and I mean, I could stay at least an hour, but if, but maybe I wouldn't be needed more than an hour, but at least I'll look over everything that,
9:30, February 10th?
yeah.
No, Bob, you said you're gonna be out of town, but, okay.
That would be fine with me.
Okay. All right, we'll set a committee of the whole meeting for 9:30 on Saturday, February 10th. Okay. All right, new business. First is presentation of fiscal year 2018-2019 preliminary tentative budgets for town fund, general assistance, road district, and sewer. So obviously, we can talk about anything anybody would like. My thoughts, as in past years, was to basically just have Erica highlight some of the more substantial proposed changes. Can ask her about those, but we can dig into anything you want. My thought was just to kind of lay this out there. there's a lot of information here. Obviously, actuals going back several years, the current year budget, current year actuals, the proposed budget, so there's a lot to digest. But the hope of this kind of format is to help the board key in on more substantive changes. So if there's no objection, I just thought I'd have Erica just review some of the more substantial changes, and then if the board just wants to take this and, look through it, and then spend the next 4 weeks contacting Erica and Paul to do their homework and ask questions, or we can dig into the details now. Either way.
I'd rather do it, taking it home. I wanted to do some analysis on it.
Sure.
But also, did anyone come to us for funding that was new?
We have, the packets are due on the 5th, and so far we've received 3 or 4? 4 new ones. So everything's due, we'll get out the packets after end of business on February 5th. And
Excuse me.
so we'll know how many so far we've received 4 new ones, but all the packets are due back February 5th. So we'll send those out to the board. So definitely understand if you want to take this home and digest it and do your own analysis. But anybody be opposed to Erica just walking through the highlights or the more substantive changes?
Do you want to, Erica?
That'd be great. Thanks.
Since you were all prepared.
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna do the quicker ones first, I guess. So we'll start with the sewer fund. Basically, we didn't make any changes to the sewer budget for this upcoming year.
That was quick.
That was easy. And with Road and Bridge, we also looked around at the budget, and we've decided, we haven't really heard much from Art about it, if he wants to give us any feedback, but we've decided not to make any changes on the Road and Bridge budget either, at this point.
All right.
Yeah, any suggestions, Art, just give us a call.
Well, don't you have to replace one of your trucks?
So, something
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if Art, I would just, Art, just get back with Erica. Send out any information to the board or any kind of information that we could work on, that'd be great.
okay.
Thank you.
General assistance. First off, on the revenues, when you guys look at the property tax levy, I did just have a keying error, and that is actually 160. I wrote over my numbers. 163, 162, not 63,000. It's 163,000 for property tax revenue. And then there were some salary changes, which I'll let Mike explain, that we moved some out.
Yeah, so we're just, over the past several years, we've worked to just, and this is a recommendation from the auditor several years back, was to just provide staff, account for staff salaries where they do work. So one of the first things we did, part of Mary Ann's Smith's salary went into the sewer fund because she works on the sewer billing and takes care of all of that. Then, as we know, Wayne from the highway department, half, because he does building maintenance and things for the township, we moved half his salary and benefits into town fund. So just in keeping with that, In general assistance, now that Lisa's got a couple years under her belt, it's been a couple years now, I'm trying to remember here, but years are running together. But the staff has started to really take responsibility for certain roles. Norm in general assistance has basically taken on a management role for all of the food pantry, which is, you know, as we've had in the past, when all the staff pitches in, it's kind of, everyone's just kind of helping out where they can in addition to their own role. But essentially half the time has become, roughly half the time Norm spends is on food pantry management, and fewer time has been spent by the other staff members. So the food pantry being not an official general assistance program, decided to move half his salary and benefits into the town fund. Same thing, similar thing with Erica and Paul, because they're employees that cross over into other departments, such as general assistance, and the highway department just moved a small percentage of their salaries to those departments because they interact primarily from a financial standpoint, so. Yep, any questions about that?
Is that wise to not keep GA segregated?
Well, the food pantry's always been dealt with by staff in general assistance, because like I said, all the staff members have always worked on it together. But I thought that now that it's become, that Norm has taken ownership of that.
I wasn't referring to him,
Oh.
but when you start mixing town employees and GA employees and everything, and have them in different parts of the budget, I mean, I think that they should be segregated.
Well, we've done it with Mary Ann, like I said, and we've done it with Wayne in Highway Department and Town Fund. So this isn't new. We've done this, I mean, it's been several years. So just to have the accounting so that we know, so when we look at our budgets, we know how money is being spent. And if maintenance is being done, like I said, for example, Wayne, we knew maintenance is being done on the building, but it's being paid out of road and bridge. That doesn't give us an accurate accounting of how time and resources are being spent, so. Just trying to continue streamlining that process. I mean, like I said, this isn't something new that we've started.
No,
Go ahead, Trustee Sanders.
Well, we talked before about that you could even have different handbooks for GA or, town fund. These are different departments, and I think it's important to keep some segregation.
And-
I mean, would Wayne be then, Wayne is considered, road and bridge employee. So he's doing some other work, he's doing building maintenance or something.
Right.
But that it shouldn't be like it shouldn't be salaries over here. His paycheck should only be coming from there, and he should still be considered a road and bridge employee.
And we can talk about that. I don't agree. I mean, like I said, we've been, doing this for several years, I think for a good reason. I mean, if the board wants to change that and not make these proposed changes,
I'm just
that's
saying,
okay too.
well,
I mean,
it's just that's how it is everywhere. I can't think of, talk to townships everywhere. I mean, GA employees are GA employees that are totally under your purview, okay? I mean, and road and bridge, if he's not doing that much, when we started doing this, it was just, it was a small amount. He was still under Art. And town employees are under the board, so it's just something that we have to, keep some kind of segregation involved in that. What if you started having someone who was half GA and half town? I mean, that would cause, some problems, I think. Because you could totally decide a salary in GA, but then town would decide a salary for their town half. It's just, do you see what I'm saying? I mean, a GA employee should be your employee, and we should have nothing to say about it.
well, I mean,
Except at, at budget time, but you know what I'm saying.
obviously there's still, everything would be communicated. You approve all the budgets, so you're looking at all the budgets at the same time. like I said, I mean, this is something we've tried to look at to ensure that the accounting is being done where the work is being done. If we want to change course, then we can absolutely change course.
Okay, go
Mike,
ahead.
who was
Oh,
it
I'm
that
sorry.
you said suggested you put people according to where they're actually working more?
Constable and Steffens.
Okay, and could we get a sheet just of anyone who, has their salaries in more than one department or fund, just to see, so we can keep track of that?
Do you want the amounts, or just the
Just like-
names and departments?
Just the names and percentages.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
So our auditor recommended it.
Right, just to have a more accurate accounting of where the work's being done, right?
Okay.
Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
all right. Now, let's see, and then for GA, the only thing that changed also were just the benefit portion of norms that we would take and put in a town fund as well as the salary, so. Those were the only changes that were made right now to general assistance.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay, town fund. So basically I'm gonna go over anything that's worth noting, or $5,000 or more is kind of where I cut it off. So we're increasing our interest income in the revenue side by $10,000 because our interest income is increasing every year, and our CDs, the percentages actually went up from last year. In expenses and administration, we just took the utility line item down $5,000. Down to contractual services, we're adding a line item for building rental and property taxes, which will be the expenses that we incur when we have to start paying rent for this building, which was all part of the closing agreement. So right now, there's 53,220 that would cover the rent, but we also have to include the property taxes, and I talked with Lori today in the assessor's office, and she helped us come up with a calculation based off last year's numbers, so it's not exact, but our best guess would be for 9 months of property taxes, which is also sort of a guess estimate when we start getting charged for them, will be 56,000, so that would increase that line item, or excuse me, 42,000.
And that, just to kind of let you know, then that would all depend, obviously, we're zoned residential now, it would all depend on when the zoning would change.
And we did
on
have
that.
Lori calculate us as
commercial,
commercial,
right.
so that's probably on the higher end. Okay. We're gonna reduce the publication and newsletter line item by $5,000. There were a couple expenses in there this year that we don't see coming next year. Accounting services, we're increasing by $6,000, and that is based on calculations of the cost of an outside firm coming in and helping with accounts payable on a weekly basis. The next one, we decreased the job counselor line item, but that's only because we now split that cost with the general assistance department, so we don't have to have all of that money in there. We also increased professional services. We will be putting, right now we have our professional IT contractor in the IT and copier expense line item, but we would move his company down to professional services. And I think that's about it. The next page. In commodities and expenses, we increased office supplies. Considering the move, we figured we'd probably be getting new supplies for the new building. We took out the daycare utility line item because we'll no longer own that building and we'll no longer be paying utilities there when that closing happens. And That's it for commodities and miscellaneous, and then down to capital outlay. We changed our building and permanent improvements line item, and we're calling that the Landmeyer Building. And we are budgeting $1.1 million for any work and projects that have to take place when we move into the new building or before to get move-in ready. And
I just want to say that that's the 1.1 we put in there because that's going to be the proceeds of the sales essentially. So I don't expect to spend 1.1 million, but because that's yet to be determined and we know what the proceeds are, we wanted to make sure that we put that entire amount in there. Thanks, Erica.
Yep. And then down to the daycare agency expenses, we're taking all of those out because again, we won't be maintaining that building once the closing has gone through and we no longer own it. And let's see here, besides basic salary increases, we did basically all the salaries at a 3% increase, and I changed all of the FICA and IMR off accordingly, to however that would calculate.
And that'll all be subject, that was just, again, another placeholder till the board decided how you would like to handle salaries.
Oh, I'm sorry, and I missed one up in capital outlay, the youth service and miscellaneous capital improvement line item. We took that out as well. Because that's basically if we did any work or bought any maintenance supplies to upkeep 401 West Golf, we would take it out of that line item, but we'll no longer be maintaining that building once that closing is done. And then on to social services. Like we had already talked about, we've gotten 4 new agencies that have put in applications for grants. But all the applications will be due February 5th, and once everyone is done with budget and funding, we'll be able to have a better idea of how that's gonna look. But I just used the same amount that we spent last year in social services as the bottom line, subject to change. And we didn't really have any changes in bike safety. Senior bus equipment, I lowered because that's where I would take out our lease payments or our bank payments for our buses, which we now own all 3. So we don't have bus payments anymore. And then down into youth services, I added a line item for their temporary facility. And based on our calculations, we projected we'll be spending about $15,000 in rent once they move in the next fiscal year. So obviously, a lot of these numbers are based off of past, like Mike said, past expenses and expenses that we've incurred so far this year. So if anything big comes in at the end of the year and it changes my numbers a lot, then it might change my proposed budget before next meeting, but as soon as any changes come up, I will let everyone know.
Thank you, Eric.
Any questions for Erica? Thanks, Erica, nice job. Go ahead, Sue Ellen.
We have a meeting about the social services grant money before, sometime in February.
Yeah, we're gonna, Paul's gonna send out an email when everything's in. We'll know how many new ones we have, how much time we have to set aside, and then Paul will send out an email requesting availability for the board.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so we heard late last week, we're waiting on just a final description. You don't have the IGA with Elk Grove because it's not completed yet. We're hoping to have it done. The village, Elk Grove Village, is just working on working through a title issue on that property, so that we can get a proper description and they can settle everything on their end. Hopefully, it sounded like they would have that relatively soon for us. Obviously, we've been through our own issues, so we know how these things kind of work. So I'll let you know as soon as we hear back from them on when they have everything finalized, give us the okay to approve the IGA on our end. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, nothing under executive session. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by trustee
I'm
Kash.
sorry, I just have a quick question. Did we have to vote on the approval to change it to February 20th, the next meeting?
We can, we don't have to, we just published a new meeting. I mean, we can take a vote if you'd like.
Fine.
Okay,
No, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure.
okay,
Thank you.
yep. Motion to adjourn was made by trustee Kashaba. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Saturn. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.